ready for all the craziness of small business. It's exactly that craziness that makes it exciting and totally unbelievable. Small Business Radio is now on the air with your host, Barry Moltz.
Well, thanks for joining this week's radio show. Remember, this is the final word in small business. For those keeping track, this is now incredibly show number 582. This episode is provided by Nextiva, the all-in-one communications platform for your small business. It's also sponsored by LinkedIn, the place to generate leads, drive traffic, and build your brand awareness. For a free $100 credit to launch your campaign, go to www.linkedin.com/SBR. Well, with the stock market in correction mode, we all need to think about the money we put away for retirement. Is it time to panic, work harder, or just wait it out? Anyone who's been frustrated by the conventional savings and investing strategies will be interested in what Pamela Yellen, my next guest, has to say. Pamela is a two-time New York Times best-selling author and founder of Bank on Yourself. Her new book is called Rescue Your Retirement, 5 Wealth-Killing Traps of the 401k, IRAs, and Roth Plans, and How to Avoid Them. Pamela, welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure, and congratulations, 582 shows. That's awesome.
It's a long time. It's almost how long the great market was going on after 11 years, right? We're now in a bear market. People are freaking out. What's your first word of advice for them?
My first word of advice is that a reminder, we've gotten a really strong reminder that the stock market is a beast you can't predict or control. It never has been and never will be. And the thing that we've all forgotten is we have to take into account that bull markets never last forever. We were lucky. This one lasted longer than any other in history, but they don't last forever. And you never can tell what it is that's going to cause the market to crash. In this case, the coronavirus pandemic combined with the oil price war between the Saudis and Russia, and there you go. There goes your retirement savings.
What I try to remind people is that, for those of us that are old enough, and of course my children who are in their mid-20s, they're going through it for the first time, in 2008 with the Great Recession, stock market goes down 50%. But we have to understand that over the next 11 years, it went up 400%. I remember back in that time, I go, I'll never recover what I've lost. Well, people recovered and more. So I think you got to practice patience and not panic. What are your thoughts?
Well, the thing is, here's the issue. Can you answer this question? Can the people listening to this episode answer this question? What will your retirement savings be worth on the day you need or plan to tap into them? Do you know the answer to that
No
question?
one knows that answer. That's the problem.
Okay, that is exactly the problem. And people confuse, oh, wonderful, so we had this, 50% loss, you're right, in 2008. We had more than that in 2000. And it can take quite a while to recover. And then what if you're getting ready to retire and the market crashes again? And that's the problem. You have absolutely no way of predicting that the money's going to be there when you need it. And that kind of uncertainty and that kind of financial stress, I don't know how you live with it. People confuse real wealth with paper wealth. When you see those numbers, wow, 400% increase in the market, and look at my balance and my 401k and my investment accounts, wow, I'm rich. No, that's paper wealth. Real wealth is would have to be able to sell and lock in your gains, but that's not the way it works.
I guess one of the comforting things now, Pamela, is that we actually have now paper losses, right? So those aren't really
paper
real
losses.
too. It's amazing to me. There's the statistic out there that says that 55 million Americans, about a third of the workforce, have retirement savings in 401k. Now, I guess I got some questions around that before we get to about the 401k. Does that mean only 55 million Americans, a third, actually have retirement savings, or does others have them in pensions and other kind of retirement vehicles?
Well, they have them in other retirement vehicles, but the fact remains that 50% of all Americans have zero retirement savings at all. 50%.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, how does that compare to other countries?
Some countries countries do a better job of that than we have done. I do think that a big part of the problem has been the advent of the 401k, because it took guaranteed pension plans where you knew you were going to have an income that would last you as long as you lived, and it turned them into do it yourself, figure it out on your own, hope that your employer picks good funds, which, by the way, they don't pick very good funds, and then you're totally on your own, and most people are not prepared for that. They do not have the knowledge to be able to invest for their future successfully on their own. And even the father, the man who invented the 401k, Ted Benna, now says that the 401k is a monster that should be destroyed.
And so why does he say that? Because so many of us see the 401k as really a way for, I guess when the market is good, it was a way for us to self-direct our retirement so we can make more money. But now you're talking about like it's a monster. What's so bad about it?
Well, the biggest issues with it, first of all, the fees that are charged by the mutual fund companies and the plan administrators, and those are robbing us of up to half of our nest eggs. The Department of Labor says that if you are paying just a 1% fee in your 401k, that over a 35-year period, it's going to eat up 28% of your savings. But, Barry, most people are actually paying more than 1% in fees, especially if you're in a relatively small company. Anything but the biggest, largest companies, you're paying more than 1%, which means you could be losing 33%, 40%, even 50% of your savings to fees. That's ridiculous.
So, Pamela, take us through the math. So you're saying that they charge 1% fee per year, and then over 20 years, it's eating up 20%? Take us through that. 28%. All right, here, because fees compound against you, right,
just like taxes compound against you. So the Department of Labor, again, very reliable source, says that if you're getting average returns in the stock market, and you are paying just a 1% fee, over 35 years, 28%, which is close to a third of your account, gets devoured by those fees. But what I'm saying is most people are paying more than 1% in fees. Many people are paying closer to 2%. Well, double that. Now you're talking about losing 50% of your savings to fees. That's ridiculous.
So, Pamela, what is the alternative? Because, people have either pensions or they have IRAs or 401ks. What should they be doing? Well,
one of the problems is that according to the Federal Reserve, the latest survey of consumer finances, the typical American has virtually no savings, even the ones that have 401ks and IRAs. The typical American has no savings, maybe $1,000 or less, outside of the stock market. That's not diversification. That doesn't protect you when what hits the fan. You get these black swan events, the coronavirus, the oil price war, all happening at once, everything in the country and the world shutting down. Oh my gosh, that is a black swan event that we couldn't possibly see coming, and we don't know how long it's going to take for all of this to straighten out and get back to normal and so on, with so many businesses basically having to close down. So I'm going to suggest something that I know a lot of your listeners at first are probably going to have a knee-jerk reaction. Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. I'm going to suggest that at least a portion of people's retirement savings should be in what is called high cash value, dividend-paying whole life insurance. Not the kind that most financial experts like to trash and love to hate. This is a kind of whole life insurance that grows a lot faster than the kind that most people know about. The cash value grows a lot faster. And the fees, the commissions, which is what they complain about, the commissions are too high, are reduced by 50 to 70% so that it can go to the growth of the cash value and benefit you. And so I have a number of these plans myself. I also own a number of annuities, which I think are another thing that people are going to be looking at more, because it gives you an opportunity to duplicate what the pension plans are doing with guaranteed lifetime income. We all need that as well. So I think people are really starting to move in this direction. It gives you more peace of mind. It gives you more flexibility and control than 401ks. It lets you. We're in a situation right now where people are losing their jobs. Their jobs are, not everybody can work from home. And even those who can, a lot of businesses where it involves face-to-face and that sort of thing, they're not happening. So what do you do if you need cash? What do you do if you need some money to get you through? Well, most people have no cash savings. They don't have a safe and liquid emergency fund. With the kind of dividend-paying, high cash value, whole life policies that I'm talking about, you can access up to 90% of what you have in the policy with no questions asked. And it will be in your account or wherever you tell the company to send it to in days. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to pledge your firstborn. You don't have to fill out nosy credit applications. And this is what got so many people through the last recession and even the Great Depression. These policies help people get through the Great Depression.
So let me ask you a question about these policies, because, a lot of us know there are term life insurance policies that have no cash value. You're just basically renting it and it ends. It's cheap for a certain period of time. And then there's these policies that actually build up cash, which is the whole life policies. Are we talking about just a standard whole life policy, or is this something different?
Now, this is a whole life policy on steroids. This is, first of all, it has to be dividend-paying. Its own dividend-paying company that is owned by the policy owners, not by stockholders. So the profits that the company make go to you, the policy owner. That's number one. Number two, there are riders or options added to the policies that cut the commission significantly and make the cash value grow significantly faster than they would otherwise. So you'll actually, with a traditional whole life policy, they'll say, you won't have any cash value you can access for a year, maybe even 2 years. No. In this case, you're going to have cash value in the first month that you could access if you needed it, if you ran into a situation like we're in now and you needed to get your hands on money, you could. Can I tell you a quick story about this?
Of course, yeah. With a few minutes left.
Okay, I'm a business owner, and I know I'm a small business owner like your listeners, and during the last crisis, the financial crisis, the credit crisis, you remember how nobody could get access, no small business could get access to capital? Even if you played golf with your banker and I know people who played golf with their bankers for 20 years, and when the financial crisis, the credit crisis hit in 2008, they went to their bankers and they said, hey, I've got a perfect track record. I've never missed a payment. I need some money. And the banker would say, I'm sorry. There is no money to lend anybody. So that was the exact time period, 2008, and during that whole crisis, where I wrote one of my best-selling New York Times bestsellers, and I was determined to really take my business to the next level. We had a really rinky-dink website at the time. We had no real tech people to support us. We had horrible software. And I sat down and I thought, how much do I want to invest in the business? Because I have faith in myself, right? If I invest, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to get a return on my investment. So I thought, how much do I need to really up-level the company? The number I came up with was $500,000. Yeah, in 2008. How am I going to get my hands on 2008? In 2008, on $500,000. So I picked up the phone. I called 3 of the insurance companies that I have policies with, and in 5 days, there was $500,000 in my checking account.
Wow. That's ready-made cash.
You bet. You bet. And so many of my colleagues were crying. They couldn't get any capital to get them through. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen again now, where they can't print. The government can't print enough money to bail everybody out that's going to need help because of this. So you need access to that capital. You need to be and in a 401k, you know how many restrictions there are. Some companies don't even allow you to take a loan.
Absolutely. A lot of it's also tied to age. So,
and it's limited, the amount you can take. You have to go through a 13-step process. It's almost like taking a loan from a bank.
Exactly. Well, Pamela, I appreciate your advice. So it's definitely changing times with the coronavirus here to stay, it looks like, for a while. Where can people get in touch with you and get more advice?
So my new book, the one you mentioned at the beginning about Rescue Your Retirement, 5 Wealth-Killing Traps of 401ks and IRAs and how to avoid them, I'm going to offer it to your listeners absolutely free if you go to sendthefreebook.com. That's sendthefreebook.com.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This is AM 820 WCPT in Chicago. We'll be right back. Time and place is everything, especially when it comes to marketing. But in today's age of 1 million messages per minute and not enough hours in a day, how do you really catch people's attention? Fortunately, there's a simple way. LinkedIn can help you speak to the right professionals at the right time. With over 62 million decision makers on LinkedIn, you're able to connect with the right business leaders who are relevant to your company. And with LinkedIn ads, you can make sure your messages are getting through to these relevant people. Even small businesses are making the most of LinkedIn ads. They're using LinkedIn to get their voices heard and their messages to resonate with the audience. It's not just about awareness either. LinkedIn ads are driving traffic and engagement, whether that's visits to a landing page, registrations to an event, or downloads of that thought leadership piece. Because with precise targeting, small businesses can speak to the people that matter the most. At the end of the day, LinkedIn ads are helping smaller businesses get big results. Try it for yourself. LinkedIn is offering a free $100 LinkedIn ad credit to launch your first campaign. Simply go to www.linkedin.com/SBR. That's www.linkedin.com/SBR to claim your free $100 ad credit. Terms and conditions apply.
With Barry's 25 years in small business, he has finally discovered the magic formula to make more profit at any company. Business gurus make it seem so complicated, but it is really simple. The formula is P times P equals P, where people multiplied by process means more profit. Learn how you can take a quantum leap in just 180 days to grow the profit in your business. Contact Barry at Maltz.com.
Stick around to get your small business unstuck. More of Small Business Radio with Barry Maltz, now on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
If there's one industry that is a mess right now during the pandemic of 2020, it's the travel industry. What's really going on there, and how do we recover from this latest disruption? Here to help is Terry Jones, who is the founder of Travelocity and the founding chairman of Kayak.com. He's the author of a new book called Disruption Off. Terry began his career as a travel agent, jumped to 2 startups, and then spent 20 years at American Airlines, serving in a variety of management positions, including Chief Information Officer. While at American, he led the team that created Travelocity and served as CEO for 6 years and took the company public. After Travelocity, he served as the chairman of Kayak for 7 years until it was sold to Priceline for $1.8 billion. Terry, welcome to the show.
Hey, Barry, thanks very much. Great to be here. And great to be in Chicago, where I grew up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have to tell you that I'm a big American Airlines flyer, or I was a big American Airlines flyer up till 3 weeks ago. I joined the program in 1981. I have to tell you, my frequent flyer number has all numbers, no letters. That's how long I've been involved with American Airlines.
Wow. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for that.
For being a great customer. You're welcome. So this current disruption, is this any different than all the other disruptions that we've seen before?
Well, in my book, Disruption Off, I talk about technological disruption, which is happening to lots of businesses. The difference with this one, of course, is it's so quick. It happened overnight. And those kind of disruptions, particularly when we don't see the way out of them necessarily, are the ones where corporations have to make, any business has to make good decisions and to spend some time. As you say in your book, spend brain power before spending dollars.
Right.
It's exactly what we have to do. If you think back to 9/11, that was a big hit on the travel business, of course. But it also was a time when the airlines realized, hey, we've got electronic ticketing now. We don't need a travel agent on every corner anymore. And they took the plunge and cut commissions to zero on airline tickets. And unfortunately, that put almost 15,000 travel agents out of business. But I think your listeners will be surprised to know there are 15,000 travel agents still in business in the United States, and they're the ones who changed. They went into business travel. They went to high-end leisure travel. Of all things, my daughter became a travel agent. I spent my whole career putting them out of business, and she is one, right? So you can respond and you can change. The ones who do will be successful.
Well, let's talk about the suddenness of this all, because I saw a graph in the Washington Post, New York Times, which talks about weekly unemployment claims. And if you look over since 1967, the weekly unemployment claims go up and down by a little bit based on if it's prosperity or recession. And then, of course, over the last 3 weeks, it shot up like we've never seen before. This really did happen sudden. How does the suddenness really change the way that businesses need to rethink their models when this kind of disruption happens?
Well, I think it's different by industry. Of course, many businesses will be able to snap back, and we're already seeing that in China, where manufacturing, is happening. Consumer direct businesses, of course, have much more difficulty. Restaurants, travel, those things, that's tough. And I'm just working on an article this morning about how we might come out of this and what people have to do. And I've talked to a lot of people in the travel business. It's going to be about safety. It's going to be about proving to people that it is safe to travel again. And that means, reporting. I worked with a company who reports on COVID cases now. They were doing something totally different. That's what they're doing. In China, they're doing it with an app. You get a green light or a red light on your app, depending on your past health. And there are discussions about that going on around the world and a little bit here. And they're even putting the temperature of the person who cooked your food on the label of the food, so that person doesn't have a temperature. Well, that's a little bit of theater. But, think about the TSA when it was implemented. Some of it is great security, and some of it is theater.
Right? Exactly. A lot of theater.
Safer.
A lot of theater.
Yeah, a lot of theater
I
there.
definitely feel safer taking my shoes off. I've got to tell you, Terry, it just makes me feel so safe. And when they pat me down.
Yeah, that's the crazy one. One bomber.
One guy, one time.
Their shoes off.
Changed the world.
But, the other events were very, very serious. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that consumers don't see in terms of how we check to try to make sure that we don't have a bad actor around. And I think we'll have to do the same thing with travel. Hotels, will have to show people that their rooms are cleaned and they have a process for that. Airlines are, going to have to accept lower load factors because people aren't going to want to sit in the middle seat, and they're already doing that.
Absolutely.
At least until there's a vaccine. I'm working with a company that actually is sort of the Airbnb for recreational vehicles, and you can rent your recreational vehicle to someone else through this vehicle. Well, guess what? It's my own airplane. It's my own hotel. It's my own restaurant. I can clean it and be safe in it. I think RV travel is going to take off because it's safer, right? So we're seeing. I'm talking to big companies who are saying, "Hey, my call center is just going to be home-based now. I don't want big centers with lots of people." My son works in a very large video game company that, of all things, they prohibited working at home. Now they have 5,000 people working at home, and it's working great.
Right.
So some places it can work. Amazon did their Amazon Go shop in Seattle and a few other places. People thought it was kind of weird, no clerks.
Right now.
now
great.
It looks prescient, right? Brilliant.
It's fantastic. Well, Terry, I've been really, listen, people have to change during this time, and I've been impressed about how the airlines have changed something that I thought they'd never change, which is do away with the change fees, because they've had to do that to encourage people. Are we also seeing sites like Travelocity and Kayak, are they also doing the same thing?
Well, they don't have their own change fees. Kayak and Travelocity and Priceline, and those change fees come from the carriers. Those guys are just travel agents, so they obey whatever rules somebody else has. But I think travel will get much more flexible because airlines will take this opportunity to change or die. I mean, we're going to have some kind of stimulus for the airlines. I heard my old boss Bob Crandall on the phone on radio the other day saying, "Look, travel is an essential facility. This happened in 9/11. It's happening again. All the airlines are going to go bankrupt. We're going to have to maybe re-regulate them in some ways and give them money to survive. But there'll be a trade-off. They won't be able to do some of the things that we don't like if we give them the public's money. And I think that's important. Cruise lines have a much harder problem because you stay on them longer and they're highly concentrated. And guess what? None of them are based in the United States.
Right, exactly.
So they can avoid taxes, so they're not going to get our money. Carnival got bailed out by the Saudis yesterday. They'll find money somewhere, but they're going to have to rethink, a cruise ship. I'm the chairman of a boys and girls camp that was founded in Chicago, but it's based up in International Falls, Minnesota. Well, a camp is like a cruise line, right? It's very concentrated. It's going to be some while before we can open, right? And we're rethinking how we're going to open. But think of some other things like telemedicine. The government wasn't thrilled about paying for that. Now they are.
It's all changed with Medicare, right? And that's going to remain after this is all over. So that's a good news. That's a good segment.
I was already doing it with my doc, but she didn't get paid all the time for it, and I couldn't even pay her under the table. She said, "No, it's not legal." But I travel a lot, and I'm a public speaker. I usually do about 40 events a year. Well, not this year, but I'm going to do digital events, right? And more of those are going to happen. So I think this is the time for any business to think about changes that they put off. For example, right now, many businesses, not all, are conducting business more digitally than ever before. Maybe it's time to complete that digital transformation. You just couldn't get the culture to change, right? Or accelerate your transition to e-commerce. I got a Facebook hit last night from a local restaurant that said, "Hey, we're not only selling food, we're selling groceries. You can get eggs here, and you can't get them at the grocery store. We have eggs. Come over and buy some eggs." Smart idea. Get you in there, probably get a pizza too. I think people...
In that line, Terry, what I thought's been really amazing, in Chicago, we've got some fantastic restaurants like Alinea and Avec. And of course, I can never get in there because they're always so crowded. But until very recently, I was able to get takeout from there. So I was able to sample their food in hopes of someday I'm going to actually go back when the restaurant opens up. So that's also good for those type of restaurants.
Right, exactly. And people are rethinking things like super long supply chain. And maybe they're going to stockpile instead of doing just in time, which has been very popular. Stockpile is an old 19th century way of doing business. The Tesla plant is right near where I live here in Nevada. They like to say aluminum goes in one end and cars come out the other. They don't outsource anything. Maybe more companies will do that. We're seeing 3D printed parts. People are making 3D masks, but 3D printing allows you to avoid a supply chain. Here's another one. I talk a lot in my book. I talk about 10 new technologies. One, of course, is drones, and another is autonomous cars. Are we going to get permission for drones and autonomous vehicles to deliver food? I think so. Regulators also react to crises by saying, well, what I prohibited before may be okay today. And blockchain, which has kind of languished but has a lot to do with trust, may come back in terms of these vaccination IDs. So I think it's time for people to experiment a little bit as they come out of this. Obviously, you got to use your brain power before you use your cash, but think about what are those things that I put off? What did I never do? because you have things that traditional businesses have things that startups would kill for. You've got a brand, you've got supply chain, you have capital, you have factories, you have staff. What you don't generally do is take risk, which is what startups do all the time.
Right.
So add that to your mix and say, coming out of this, we talked about this and we're going to do it. I'm going to listen to a webinar from a good friend of mine and futurist, Dan Burris, in next hour, and the webinar is about this is a bad time to say no, and I think that's a great title because what happens is we get a new idea and I say, oh, that's great. Now the person said that's terrific, and then somebody says, well, let me play devil's advocate, and the idea is over, right?
And
it's
time
to say yes.
I agree.
It's time to say yes.
And this is really why disruption so many times doesn't happen inside the industry, because they're afraid to take risk, right? And look at the taxi companies and Uber. They were happy doing it the way they were doing it, and then someone else came along. Since you know the travel industry, Terry, what kind of changes do you think you'll see? I mean, I remember before we were locked down in Chicago, my wife and I were still going out to AMC Theater, and they made a commitment that they're only going to sell half the theater. Do you think we'll see that on airplanes where the load factor will be less, where there won't be anybody in the middle seat and perhaps people will be separated by rows? Is that a possibility?
They're already doing that.
And how do you make money?
Carriers are already doing that. Well, I think unfortunately prices will go up.
Right.
People don't realize, you can fly coast to coast before COVID for the same price you could 50 years ago. It just hasn't changed. It's unbelievable how cheap travel has gotten after deregulation. So it will get more expensive. I think business travelers will travel because they have to, but they're going to be separated. And until I think the airlines are going to need help and are going to operate fewer routes until a vaccine is here, and that's many, many months away. So until that time, I think you'll see low density. American has announced that. Lufthansa, several other carriers have announced. On any plane with low load factors, they'll automatically distribute you around the plane. And the flight attendants are wearing masks, and they have a dedicated restroom for the flight attendants to wash their hands, and they won't be serving food. Right? They're going to do a whole bunch of things to try to eliminate that. Hotels are going to have to do the same thing. We're seeing in China they're using robots to deliver room service in hotels because people don't want to go to the restaurant, but they have to travel maybe. People may stay more in an Airbnb because they feel they can control it. I think there's a lot of changes coming to travel, but the most important one will be trust. I was talking to a client of mine in Finland, and they haven't had much of an outbreak, and they're saying, I don't know if people will travel. I said, you guys ought to advertise to the Germans because they didn't have much of an outbreak, and the Germans are certainly not going to go to Spain and Italy.
Right, exactly.
The same thing is going to happen in the States here. Come to Montana, right? Or, the States and New York City is going to take a long hit because it has become an epicenter, So California, maybe not. They've done a little better. But, I like to say that disruption and innovation are just two sides of the same coin. You only call it a disruption because you didn't do it.
Absolutely.
If you did it, it would be an innovation.
Absolutely.
So maybe it's time to think of a new business model. We've seen the subscription model come about, where people are subscribing for razors or direct to consumer, Warby Parker, buying glasses online. Maybe it's time to flip the model you've had for years and say, I'm going to change. I actually can do that. People are selling outcomes. I read recently Philips, the lighting company, went to Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam and said, we want to sell you light. I said, what? They said, not light bulbs. We want to light the airport for the next 20 years. So they have a contract to do that. Well, what did they do immediately? Put in longer-lasting bulbs, put in bulbs that consume less electricity because they're paying for that. And by the way, when the bulbs burn out, they take them back to the factory and recycle them in the circular economy because it's in their interest to do so. It's a much more profitable business than selling light bulbs because they're selling an outcome. Insurance companies, and doctors are saying, hey, we want to sell health instead of just fixing you, right? That's an outcome. Honeywell's doing that. Many companies are looking at how we can sell outcomes. So, it's the time to go online or buy my book or buy your books and think about what are these new business models? How are people changing? Restaurants, there may be more ghost kitchens around, these kitchens that just do delivery because they can survive that way when they couldn't survive if they only had half the number of seats in their restaurant.
Well, Terry,
Think of something new.
We're just out of time for this segment of the show. I appreciate you being on. The title of the book is called Disruption Off. People can reach you at your website. It's tbjones.com. Terry, thanks so much, and hopefully your family and everyone you love stay safe.
You too. Stay safe. Thanks very much for having me.
This is AM 820 WCPT in Chicago. We'll be right back.
You've already upgraded your cell phone to a smart device, which lets you use the internet to be more productive on the go. But what about your desk phone? Nextiva is a smart business phone system in the cloud. With a simple setup through an internet connection, you can soon have access to your office communications wherever you are. Stay seamlessly connected with clients and stay more mobile than ever before with just one low monthly cost. Give your business more than just a basic desk phone. Visit Nextiva.com or call 800-799-0600 to learn more today. Nextiva. Simplifying your business communications.
Are you stuck? Is this the year you finally grow your business and make more money? During Barry's many years of running his own company, he had to deal with the challenges of a business that just wasn't going anywhere. It was a painful realization. His business had flatlined, and he had no idea how to breathe more life into it. It was especially difficult for Barry, since his customers were not getting the service he was so passionate about delivering. Second, he wasn't making any money. Finally, his business was sucking the life out of him. Do any of these sound familiar? Your sales won't budge in spite of your best efforts. You have few new leads for customers coming in, and existing customers are fading away. You're burned out and completely exhausted. It's no longer fun, and your family suffers as well. If you're one of the millions of small business owners facing these problems every year, Barry has the answer. Check out barrymoltz.com/unstuck to subscribe to his 6-part video series. That's Barry Moltz, MOLTZ.com/unstuck.
Stick around to get your small business unstuck. More of Small Business Radio with Barry Moltz, now on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Well, one of the top questions I get asked, especially these days, is where can I find extra cash for my business? One place to look is at grant contests sponsored by corporations that support small businesses. Here to talk about their latest contest is Kelly Martin, who's a small business champion at FedEx, specializing in small business marketing and advocacy for over 13 years. She's the co-host of FedEx podcast, Making It Work, and program manager of FedEx, responsible for the annual Small Business Grant Contest. She's the driving force behind the creation and growth of the FedEx Entrepreneur Advisory Board. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So good to be here.
So tell us why FedEx created this Small Business Grant Contest.
FedEx created the grant contest. It's just our way to show small businesses that we care about them, and we really want to help them grow by highlighting and shining a light on their business and providing the right tools and resources to help them do that.
So tell us about how the well, first of all, what are the prizes, right? That's what people want to know.
Yeah, it's always the first question I get when people learn about it as well. The prizes for 2020 is it's a total of over $230,000. So the grand prize winner gets $50,000 plus $7,500 in a print credit from FedEx Office. We have 12 winners total. Second place gets $30,000 and $5,000 from FedEx Office. Then we have 10 bronze prize winners that each get $15,000 and $1,000 in credit from FedEx Office. So it's a really great way to jumpstart purchasing some software or getting some new marketing materials or something like that.
I guess that's the thing I want to ask you is what kinds of things can they do with their credit to help grow their business during these times?
Oh, gosh, there are so many things, Barry, that they can do. The things we've heard that past winners have used their prize money on is new equipment to increase production capacity or increase efficiencies within the business. Some have gotten all new custom branded packaging to help their business stand out when they're shipping. Others have hired people. Others have started a new product line to go into new verticals that they didn't have the money to otherwise do. It's just kind of all over the board, but most of those stick around the tools and resources, production capacity, software, and equipment nature.
I think that this contest now, which I'm calling in the Corona economy, which I call it, takes on even more importance because it has really shown that during difficult times, people really need to expand their marketing. And what people have a tendency to do is they see it as a cost to cut back their marketing. But now is really the time when you have to reach out your customers and evolve your business models.
You're exactly right. And one of the things, that's what the grant contest does, it increases exposure for these businesses that enter. And then for the winners, we go on to create other opportunities for them that provides more exposure by retelling their stories in our channels. And that really helps as well. And I think it's really important for the public to remember you can buy online, just support your small businesses online, even if it's just buying a gift card from them now and spending it later.
And so what do you have to do to enter this contest? What is it all about?
Enter the contest. Well, the 2020 contest just closed. So it'll come back around early 2021, but it is an online application, and it's really answering just a couple simple questions about why you got started in your business, what your passion is, what problem you're solving, and also how you would use the grant money, and uploading some images that best represent your business. You can also upload an optional video elevator pitch kind of telling us about your business as well. And then there's a voting period, and you get your fans to vote for you during that time frame. It gets you exposure in the contest. It rallies your community, and then it helps them get noticed by us when we're going into the finalist round, to select who we're going to have for our top 100 finalists, and then on to selecting the winners as well.
And so
it's a really simple process.
You go from the top 100 to selecting the top ones then.
Correct. Yeah. So of all the entries that we get after the voting period ends, we look at the 700 businesses that receive the highest number of votes. And that's our starting point for selecting our top 100. And then the 100, we ask them to submit a second video demonstrating their passion for their business and how that's reflected in their business. It also helps us kind of see who might be really good at future speaking engagements, who'd be really good small business ambassador or mentor, stuff like that. And we select 12 winners from those 100. And Barry, when I tell you it's one of the hardest things I've ever done,
sure.
It is truly so difficult, but it's also so much fun.
So tell us about some of the past winners and what they've been able to do after winning this contest.
I don't even know where to start with that one. There's so many great success stories from a lot of these past winners. One that stands out, one of our winners in the very first year of the contest, which is 2013, is a company called Catulo Prime Meats. And it was a third-generation butcher shop, and they went online selling meats before that was really a thing. And through all of the research and insights that Danny Catulo was doing and all the nuances of perishable shipping, he was able to start a second consultancy business helping other small business perishable shippers with their shipping. That's just one. Another one, Gingin Brothers, they're located, it's an African beverage company located in Harlem. They've gotten so much press and coverage that they've opened a Gingin Cafe now and highlighting their beverage and African pastries and coffee. Others, small business, Something Barrel Blooms. They were a winner in 2019. They are a high-quality floral rental company for weddings and events. And they did a collaboration with another past winner called the Groomsman Suit, which between the two of them, they're kind of disrupting the whole wedding industry where you used to rent your tuxes and buy your flowers. Now you rent your flowers and buy your suit.
Wow.
It's a great collaboration. So seeing those kind of collaborations happen is really cool.
So you've talked to a lot of small business owners. What do you find, Kelly, are some of the common issues that these owners really are facing today?
Yeah. As you mentioned earlier, one of the common issues is funding, and that's where the grant contest can really help them. Another big issue that I hear quite often is they really feel like they're alone in their journey, on this entrepreneurial journey. So we bring all of our grant winners together to the FedEx World headquarters in Memphis for a couple of days. So they get to meet each other. They get to meet subject matter experts and executives within FedEx. And that deep connection really helps them feel like they're not alone. And they go on to create their own little private social groups, and they create text threads, and they're connecting in every way possible, and they're sharing tips and resources and advice, and even their time to help a small business, their peers, enhance a website or tackle a new problem or share resources of website development even.
You know, you bring up a really excellent point, because I find when I talk to small business owners, if I say, well, what's the one thing that's really made a difference in you being able to grow a successful company? They always say, I found the right mentor, because it actually is lonely at the top. And especially now in the Corona economy, a lot of folks are freaking out. And the more support that we can reach out to other people that understand the position we're in and understand our business, that really can help. So I love what you're doing as far as not only let people win those kind of prizes, but really providing them support afterwards.
Absolutely. And we continue to do that through, when we have these in-depth interviews with these contest winners, we find out what their real pain points are. So it helps us understand where we can jump in and assist. Sometimes that's just connecting them with somebody else. That'd be a great mentor, one of their peers, or it could be a straight mentor. FedEx also has a national sponsorship and partnership with the SCORE Foundation, which is a group of mentors across the country through 300 chapters that provides webinars and resources to help them with their business. And that's been a really fantastic resource as well for businesses. So
tell us, you were one of the people that created the FedEx Entrepreneur Advisory Board. Tell us about that, Kelly.
Yeah. This was something, it was a brainchild of one of our very first contest winners, very first grand prize winner in this contest, Nicole Snow of Darn Good Yarn. And we kind of took the idea and expanded it and made it larger. And we handpick 10 entrepreneurs from across the country. And some of them are from the grant contest, and some of them are nominated by our sales partners inside FedEx. And we bring them together for 3 meetings across the year. And they're 2-day meetings, and we kind of really just understand some of the pain points they're facing as small businesses, not just from shipping that FedEx can help with, but in general. And it was from one of those groups, one of those advisory boards, that the FedEx Making It Work podcast was actually formed and created. They designed the whole thing, the format, the topics, the structure, everything. So they really help us understand some gaps and opportunities that we can tackle to improve experiences or improve the perception of small businesses with FedEx.
I love what you said, is that you actually end up learning from the small business owners about how FedEx can actually help them. It's not just one way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's how we get most of our strategies, is we want to hear directly from the small businesses. They're on the ground. They're having struggles. We were once a small business too. While we obviously no longer are, we get that there's a struggle there. We want to help ease that struggle for them. So having this voice of customer is extremely important to us in developing, whether it's a new service or a podcast or whatever it is. We want to hear directly from them on that. So through the grant contest and bringing the winners to Memphis, and also the Entrepreneur Advisory Board, we're able to capture and understand what some of those opportunities are and capitalize on them by closing that gap and creating those enhanced experiences.
So what other things can FedEx do actually help small business, especially during this time?
What are some of the things that FedEx can do to help small business during this time?
Yeah, what does FedEx help to do? I mean, we always think of FedEx as delivering packages, but as you were talking about with the FedEx centers, there's so much more as far as helping with all the outsourcing for marketing, because we don't really want to take on fixed costs, especially now. It's great to be able to hire someone or a service to be able to go do that. That is really keep it as a variable cost, so that's a real advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things is we have a lot of resource information on the FedEx Small Business Center that people can tap into. There's a lot of peer insights on there that may help them understand how to capitalize on their marketing, social, whatever it may be. There's lots of peer advice on there, so that we've captured that to deliver back out. Also tapping into any influencers that people may follow or they respect, listening to podcasts, following blogs, checking with their vendors and partners and other peers. It may be as simple as talking to their FedEx rep, because we may have a solution that they just haven't even thought of yet. And kind of looking at maybe packaging as another opportunity. Maybe they can enhance their packaging, and FedEx Office can help with that through the custom branded packaging offer that we have. and really getting their word out and focusing, like you said earlier, on this is the time to increase your marketing, not scale back on it. Getting that word out, because people may be doing the social distancing and turning much more to online shopping than they probably already were. This is a great time to really support small businesses, get out there, and if they can promote themselves more customers will see them and be able to buy from them and experience their brand.
I love that, Kelly, because now is really the time to reach out and try to get some more help, because with everything going on, you have a tendency to say, well, I'm all by myself. But there's a lot of resources, especially through FedEx, to really assist you in your small business. Kelly, thanks so much for being on the show and talking about the Small Business Grant Contest. Where can people follow the results from this year and perhaps enter next year?
Absolutely. This year, they can check out the top 100 starting March 16th on FedEx.com/grant contest. They can also see more information about past winners and the upcoming 2020 winners on the FedEx Small Business Center at FedEx.com/smallbusiness.
Well, Kelly, I appreciate you being on the show, and I want to thank everyone for joining this week's radio show. I want to thank our sponsors, Nextiva, the all-in-one communications platform for your small business. I also want to thank LinkedIn, the place to generate leads, drive traffic, and build your brand awareness. For a free $100 credit to launch your marketing campaign, go to www.linkedin.com/SBR. I want to thank our incredible staff, our booking producer, Sarah Schaffer, and our in-studio producer today is Devin, our marketing manager, Courtney Gilchrist. If you're serious to be about more success this year and you need help during the corona economy, it is a difficult time, but preparation has always been the reason why small business owners have succeeded. Give me a call. I'm giving out my private line, 773-837-8250, or email me at barry@moltz.com. Remember, love everyone, trust a few, and paddle your own canoe, and go wash your hands. Have a profitable and passionate week.
You can find Barry Moltz on the web at barrymoltz.com, or more episodes of Small Business Radio at smallbizradioshow.com.